So I think it's about time that we can start. I also think we have everyone here. So I just want to say Tangbo, Sangmalo. My name is Chimi, and I want to welcome all of you on behalf of Online Tibetan Education. Thank you for taking the time to come attend our Lhakar series tonight on Tibetan cultural preservation. And as Urgen just mentioned a little bit earlier, I hope all of you are just as excited as we are in order to hear what the panelists have to say. Before we begin, though, I just wanted to give a quick shout out. I know Londe is not here yet, but two of our team members, they just had their birthday, Daekyong and Londe. So just to both of you, just want to say thank you so much for all that you're doing. And I hope you had a really happy birthday, and I hope you have a great year ahead. Okay, and then going into so online Tibetan education and just about us a little bit. So we started about almost 10 years ago, and our mission and purpose has always stayed the same, which is to preserve our language, preserve our culture and religion by providing an open space and platform for everyone to connect. And some of the ways that we're doing that is annual retreats. Actually, this will be our 7th annual retreat this year. And we're also going to be hosting classes or we have hosted classes, Tibetan language, Namdhak Buddhism, meditation, as well as Lhakar series sessions of this one currently. So regarding our, perfect. So specifically regarding the Tibetan cultural preservation that we have today, I won't go into great detail on each of them, as I believe they will do the justice themselves, but just wanted to first lay out the platform. We have KyiKyi from Himalayan Dumplings. We have Nawang Khechog, who will be talking about his work. We have Phunstok from Tibetan Calligraphy, and Tashi, I think you're there, right? Representing the Snowlion Club. And each of you, we're very happy to have you on board. We think, as Urgen was saying again earlier, the work that you're doing is so inspiring, and it's very diverse in different ways. And we hope that through this session, all of us leave with some ideas and some inspirations. And we hope that you will leave inspired that you're doing a lot of amazing work and helping preserve the larger Tibetan culture at large. So we'll have KyiKyi go first, and then Nawang Khechog, Phunstok, and then Tashi. So with that, I'll pass it off to you.
Lasso Tuchana Tashtele. So my name is KyiKyi, and I'm the creator of the social media pages called Himalayan Dumplings on both Facebook as well as Instagram. And I also do pop-ups by a similar name called Himalayan Dumplings and More during the summer season each year to kind of promote our culture in a local community. So before I start, I do want to thank Online Tibetan Education and especially its organizers that are working behind the scene for not only having me, but also providing such a much needed platform like this to teach Tibetans like us about our language, our culture, and our religion. So thank you so much. As for me, I created my social media pages, Himalayan Dumplings, on Instagram and Facebook, I think roughly about 3 years ago. But really, my journey started, as far as my journey to promote a Tibetan culture, started when I became a mother, some 10 years ago. So some of you may know, my kids are mixed. My kids are half Tibetan and half Cambodian. So as I was trying to figure out motherhood and how to try and, influence my kids to have a greater appreciation for the Tibetan culture, I found myself kind of naturally gravitating towards exploring Tibetan food and Tibetan cuisine as one of the ways to try and, bring about greater appreciation of our culture amongst my two daughters, my mixed kids. So now, mind you, back then when I became a mom, not only did I not cook, I was not interested in cooking either. So it was a huge learning experience for me, exploring Tibetan cuisine and such. But it wasn't until I attended a night market, an international night market. So, the city where I live in, they launched an international night market some 5 years ago or something like that, right? And the whole milieu of this market was to promote the underrepresented communities in the city where I live in. So I attended this market at its launch. Wow, they had over 10,000 people. So tons of people attending this market. And I saw on my Cambodian husband's face and his family's, friends and faces, there was so much pride when they saw their culture being represented by, little Cambodian food booth, which is when it struck me and I realized just how powerful of a medium and just how universally appealing food can be, right? To kind of encourage cultural pride, cultural preservation, and cultural celebration. And that's that day when I went home, I was like, okay, I gotta do something. There was no Tibetan representation. I gotta do something, but I have no culinary professional background at all. And I was kind of in the early infancy stages of learning how to cook to begin with, right? So anyway, I went ahead and applied to this market. I was absolutely sure I would get rejected, right? I didn't even tell anybody. I didn't even tell my husband that I applied. But luckily, I got accepted. I wrote this long essay on why Tibetan cuisine and culture should be represented in the following Kasa international night market in our city, right? So not only did I get accepted, but the very cool thing, and at that time I felt so proud as a Tibetan, right? Out of my little kur, I'm selling Tibetan food, right? And we had the longest lines with lines wrapped around the block. And you know, at that time I realized it was conversation after conversation. It wasn't just about selling food and introducing food to people, right? To try Tibetan food, but there were so many questions. Oh, what are those colorful flags that are hanging on your tent? You know, are you a Tibetan? If you're a Tibetan, why are you not from Tibet, but you're from Nepal or India, and so on and so forth. So, you know, at that time, it really reinforced to me that, you know, food was such a universally appealing way for me to have, you know, very naturally, non-threatening way, countless of conversations about not only our culture, but even about our freedom movement. So subsequently, Roa, because we had such great success, I was one of the two food vendors that got invited back by the city year after year. And this market really, this international market really took off. They have like 15,000 plus people attend one, you know, one night session. So it was really popular, but I was one of the two people that were invited back year after year. And not only, it wasn't so much also about the success or the popularity of Tibetan food amongst the community. But I was told that the other reason why I was invited back year after year was also because of the storytelling efforts that I put when I was promoting a culture, you know, whether it's through Facebook or social media, or even in my menu. I don't just say sha momo, $8 or whatever, you know. I make a point to say, what is the origin of momo, you know, and so on and so forth. So because this was never about making money in the first place. It was about physically being in the presence of my local community and being able to make them aware of a culture through something so universally appealing like food. So as for Facebook and Instagram, it was such a natural transition for me to go from, you know, trying to motivate and encourage my kids, you know, on an individual scale for them to have greater appreciation for our culture, then to start doing pop-ups in my local community events to try and take it to a local level, and then to try and, you know, have much greater reach through using raw social media, such a powerful tool to reach people that you would otherwise never reach physically, right? So um, some of you may know, Karsa, I am not only a mom, but during this COVID-19 outbreak, you know, I'm also homeschooling my kids, my two kids, while I am, Karsa, remotely working from home. I'm also doing school. So there's a lot going on. My day-to-day life is pretty chaotic, to say the least, right? But this year, I really wanted to launch a YouTube channel because I realized that visual storytelling is so powerful as a way to get across one's message. Right? Now, on an individual level, I am technically challenged. Video editing chidoning na gobet gorgonani. You know, I don't know anything. I'm looking at YouTube. My head is hurting after I finish kids' schoolwork, my homework, getting late at night. I'm watching all this YouTube on how to edit and so on and so forth. But I was like, I must do this because not only is YouTube like the second largest search engine, you know, video is such a powerful way of, you know, promoting our cuisine. So my aspiration, my motivation, you know, for all the work that is involved, even though it's so like migraine inducing work to do all this video editing, was that I want to tell a story, you know, I want to tell a story of our culture, our people, our struggles, and our perseverance through something so beautiful, a common language like food. So that's really what keeps me going, especially when I get private messages on Facebook or Instagram or shares or mention, and people are saying, Acha, you know, after you started sharing this and I started seeing how people are responding, I'm starting to cook Tibetan food more, you know, things like that, you know. Or someone just commented on YouTube today that was a non-Tibetan. I didn't know about how bad the Tibetan situation was politically until I saw your Momo video. Who would have thought, you know, politics and Momo, you know, but really, even through Momo, even something like a dish that we kind of take for granted, you know, I have the opportunity to introduce that food and explain why Momo is the way it is and how it originated and why someone like me is living in Ari or lived in India or Nepal and not in Tibet, you know. So I'm always looking for opportunities, Karsa, to promote our culture and to celebrate it, and hopefully be able to reach a much wider audience now through YouTube as well. So if anyone has any questions, whether it's about setting up pop-ups in your own local community because you have no representation in your community, or whether it's about YouTube, but just in general, if you have any questions, I'm always happy to help in any way I can.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, KyiKyi ma'am. I think this was very inspiring, and exactly some of the points that you're bringing up, right? If anyone needs help, because we're ultimately here to connect each other as well. So I think this is the perfect platform, and I think we already know if you need help with marketing, anything like that, we can be a contact for you. But for sure, anyone here, you know, if we're willing to help out, we're all here now. There's a space so we can just connect with each other. So with that, I'll transition to Nawang Khechog.
당부대 생도에 참에 생도와 당부들 지밀라 투체나 트스텔레 캐나다 캐나게 팀 멤버 정말 투지체다 트스텔레 슈조지 캐나다 샬레디 패키지 부레샤 디감이야 더 모던 culture 문에로 왔다 자기스도 다 아주 여러분 직자 말왜 타겟톤이냐 베베리숑 진진다 베베리숑 셔도 여행이 잘래지 빼야고도 도잖아. 이니 단다 기기라 슈거래 뭐뭐서나게 로 기기라 그런 게 감성을 내가 빼가보죠. 이니 그런 게 방법간 be kind 티셔츠 그런나도와 제가 얘기 TV may all be kind to each other. The tige t-shirt sodo kale the Nobel Peace Prize singi chugi kyabjota blessing chen shen duna yore. Ini kirangi tada momo zong chen momo zong tone kale it become a tool for Tibetan cause. That's very beautiful, really beautiful to learn that. Maybe I will speak a little bit that kind of similar thing, how my flute music, since I'm going to talk about music today, contemporary music and ancient Tibetan music, I'm going to talk on two subjects. Most probably the main subject I will talk in English, because most youth some of them don't really understand Tibetan well, right? So maybe it's better to talk in English. So, so when I went to Australia, actually, when I started playing flute, so in the beginning, I had no idea what to do, but I used to take my two kids and put subject to 10th of March, then I used to put flyers, free Tibet, Tibet must be free, something like that, and went to different train stations where I used to live in Australia. So like that, I did that. And then later I started playing flute. Then so many people come, so I can play music. Mostly gradually what I learned is if you talk too much about on Tibet, people get a little bit too fed up, you know, they came to listen to the music. So you're talking too much on Tibet. But what I figured out is play music most of the concert. At the end, then I leave 5 minutes to talk on Tibet. What happened to Tibet, how the Tibetan culture is in danger to be lost, the whole thing, you know. So, and then I play 2 songs maybe, and then at the end, I used to share the benefit of loving kindness and compassion. But His Holiness always try to share that in the public talks. So that's what I did. And so anyway, to go back to my subject, I want to talk on 2 points. One is the traditional Tibetan spiritual music. Now there is a traditional Tibetan spiritual music and contemporary spiritual music. So, well, my music is more like a contemporary spiritual music. It's just music. I don't compose or anything. It's just Tibetan we have dung pap, ling dung pap, mela reba ina gur pap gyorwa. Ti nashi ta nga mela reba da pe shana lembu che mi do. Kong da towa deurwa, towa tambu shibu cha zen, changma deung war da. Chidu mela ki shu jen gur bum se he never sat down and composed the poem and then sang this 100,000 song, never. But it just spontaneously comes to his mind and heart and he sings. And since I was a young boy, he had a very good voice. So he can sing songs very beautifully. So then I guess he sang all the Milareba's 100,000 song, just like that, you know, based on the situation, he just come up with such an inspiring poetry, and then same time he has such a beautiful voice. Then he sang songs. So I wish somebody has recorded that time, but we can't find it. But today we have some Tibetan singers who choose to sing Milarepa song. So like one of the greatest singer is Kesan Chugila, Kesan Chugi Tedonla. She's one of the greatest singer, one of the most senior Tipa's student in the Tipa when it started. So she sings so beautiful the Milarepa songs. And then also Lote Namling, another Tibetan great singer. He sings also Milarepa song. He has a great voice. So he sings Milarepa song. And then there are a few other Tibetan singers, not necessarily Milarepa song, but I call it Choyang, Dharma melody, something like that. So Ani Choyang Dharma, who lives in Nepal, travels around the world. And then Drumo Gel, one lady from Amdo, she's a beautiful singer. So she's also a doctor, Tibetan medicine doctor. She gives a talk on Tibetan medicine and sings a song, really wonderful one. And then one lady I know in Switzerland, Dechen Shak Dakse, she is one of the wonderful Tibetan Dharma melody singer. So something like that. And then TIBA, of course, Tibetan Institute of Performing Art, they are the really holder of the Trubjen Tangdon Gyabo, the Tibetan great sage, who actually is interesting. He wanted to build, Tibet has so many rivers, so he wanted to build a rivers bridge in the Tibet. So he built something like 108 bridges. So he need to raise funds. So he created the Tibetan Lhamo, Tibetan opera. The whole opera thing he created. So that's a great one. And then the now what do you call this? TIPA, Tibetan Institute of Performing Art, is the best place who performs the Lhamo, Tibetan opera. So, and then what else? In the Tibetan different Buddhist monasteries, Sakya, Gelu, Kagyu, Nyingma, they all have a many different choyang or domba. So different melodies, beautiful melodies, including our first religion called Pen. They have also so many different dharmic melodies. So and there's one Bhutanese lady, Pup, her name is Pup Zam. She sings beautiful Dharma melodies also. So I hope I said it enough. Thank you, everyone.
I think, Khalsa, what you've done really well is shown that, you know, it's not, music is not just where it's at today. There's a long history behind Tibetan music. So you did that really nicely. And looking forward to hearing you play the flute, Jala.
Oh, yeah.
Jala, yeah. So next I'll move to Phunstok. I know I see him ready over there. He's representing the Tibetan calligraphy team. He's the person, I don't know if you guys can tell who's speaking. There's usually like a green box around the person who's speaking, but he'll be talking, he's based in Toronto and we'll be talking about his work on Tibetan calligraphy. So let me just mute you. Let's open to la please.
But just le gaming pinso in pinso any that hamala color todo the online education Tibetan education thamala stuff thamala test le any the ngege the onje nga tiwa dilen la pa len ge de the tiwa de ni da so ko ti share do da any mun ma la pa shimla la pa yin indi chela the yaga de somebody color the tinanga yu shan ka ji tna this nangje da de ba this tna ya bu and diga na shi ge mo to me be shon daram sara tholo be re bu gi kola and diga na ga bu su da mi se ge gerap da de me shi nangje this de ba je on de lo sum cha in de je Europe do Europe la tashno le injure artist tashno any tashno je can have king get tashno ge sane lo chok som je can lo chok yes chain the beauty any beauty jam ma se ikso je the shoe jai lo chok yes in lo chukshik chong of day Amsterdam la any feel beauty in the jang calligraphy je and me live perform in the je live painting would give beauty on the any deliver the me mumbo yore ani me tongda chonga ni shu schema live ko digi bi so de stage ngala ani nga je in Japanese ta in jami de yore mi se konto beba ga dijo de be dona ya do ka ji na 제가 다 낭쉐 숙침부도 onde ge kadinge ani nangshwe de dagalo modo do ina ngaina nangshwe sheda singme de nia kalo iksu de da goye is lenge do tonsra any dinga ngare remove ya goye ina nga iksu ko continue doing and then shine kenada le da shine 신이 ngadi Instagram da bebagi social media ki mga 신이 dewajiyo kalor diziro ras kaji sena nima Europe le beba shira yo mare nga desa dela da nga lo chupshi story ro fela in beba shira yo mare de nya tama European da inji chenya re indi ki mas salon do je ni mangche sama indi do je da 신이 Canada le ne beba nguda ni 신이 nga dewaje da social media ki ma de da indiraso 아니 딱 todo diredaga lo nyamanga lo choke nishu changera undi geji tema maja chido nga continue didige view exido ya ani exuda ani galore mixe ge exu galati da pujen dide undi dore ani mangse den sa mixe canada la dona ya pudu view gala da exu gala de order bi ya uli do ninji gaji na danda budu thangma nang thanga yu nyanya do reda thangada inde doreda endiga mingbi beba mingje shada shola bi suga mingje na do inde order mongoli the suggest ya bi ga ming jitu na yabu du la inde order mongoli do kaje na chega da ngale order le ma se diga le support do reda shima nimanga le gaji ni thangro chene de de na ma jema tangaro ina nyama jangyo sama jema je do sare isung continue chidige bi sudi shada shola any galore di nyama jangyo sama kale geyo sama dima maja chido any continue je shada shola adi garda ne jangsa di tashinore kozale tashtele tochena lege gajena koge tashino ge ngala kala support chide la danda bodo semsho do par any diugorda bi sudi go kendo bege danda de shada shola subi da ko yawre le uzu jenge koire shimanga Europe nyama le 뭐 제일저지 this lab European lab de chidera and ushuk ja ja ngai continue did in this in same should do par and then the kare shungi mangse the kundala this lab do try jige and the shada shagani ma try jige la na and the social media the kundoni machine contact shine jige then ma page kundoli iksu this la dona la dolegi ko abdu yigire page aire do rasiore shimba iksu laru jido ta khabdu shuo ina iksu mala chido ani thangma ninje densa iksu da ko majana chadang ro ninje ta chigel de gora japanese da korean de jangi de do yaboda re de ne shado shole bi iksu de dona dis na yaboda aje na bebala inde da mangchi ke da yamosun at least galo chinje tone de iksu de da ko majana kalegele ni 라도 samare inde do sam sine da share ji shainda yenda iksudo da de goyena da Snowlion kunzo club ndo ye khada shui ke keran sola logo de goyena ngala la ne tigre kaje tna inimi print the computer the tema da nga live yora iso da ja china ya go le bi go de bi iksu de goyena ne shimadu da mo ke shi jin le ne bi go goyena nga ja chi le 아니 익소다 되는 거는 이게 나보다 망치는 게 90% 상마 인지도래 그것도 쉬어야나 정말 더 클라이언트라 캐나다라 신에 인들리 이제 도난레다 부다 부마다 저 배반도야 나 신에 리도 니 칼로 코난 레제 폴로지 나 디스키우도 얘다 나다 컨티뉴 도디라 이 샤다 저 배반도게 폴로지 디스 심슈도 파기다 엔데도레 엔데 온디 도도세다 토체나 Nishimba Joy no Chilkichoda. Sochina.
Yeah, Tuchina Puntala. I know because again you have Tiva, but also the panel with Tamatasana will open it up to Q&A. Yeah, so we'll just wait for a little bit. And Puntala, I just want to say thank you. I think Pandang also the Kazan Kitchen by OT Gitone. Like, oh, I want to create a tattoo. Can you show me how to write it in Tibetan? Don't be Tiva the Mongolian the request though. So Kyangi Tanda Lega Chigo the Sama Tuchana Shuai. And with that, I'll transition to Snowlion Club. And Tashi, I think you're representing the Snowlion Club, right? So Snowlion Club is based in okay. So Snowlion Club is based in Toronto, and their ultimate work and what they're doing through art is to engage and also educate the youth on Tibetan history and Tibetan culture. So I'll let this proceed.
Thank you for having us, guys. OTE, thank you very much. I managed to get both the founders of Snowlion Club on here. So we have Rabyang on as well, and we have Namdhak on as well. So Namdhak's going to start off just by telling, educating everyone what Snowlion Club is and how it started. So I'm going to leave the floor to Namdhak first, and then we'll continue with Rabyang after.
Someone that tested the any Snowlion Club the Hande Goat Sword and Tambumanzo color the Ima.
Sorry, if I can interrupt. Namdhak, the video you on Chitana, I mean, so at least we can see your face. Jam Matuna, it's okay, but suggestion.
Should come there. Oh, camera? Okay. Hey, how you do this? So someone tested that this camera just canceled. Yeah, any Snowlion the Hande Goat Sword the other man to Rabyang the Goat Sword. Rabyang anima labra anima chujo of the labra Lord is doing ba. One of the Rabyang was a motion gate, and go ye to the Tora. Angeling the goal doing a camera lenny hassle the Rabyang power tools. On the Chuba and Rabyang the Tambosno and the Stone Mare, other company Shimbaji has hobby room, the saddler hobby, also Fisher Sage on the Rera. Any Jula, any college doing for a college doing any color, what did this on the Handor? Pebaji social media page from Indura already. For social media, any color Pebaji had a shared in the Sumino the color Peba culture, the like modern Zamaji culture, the any Peba traditional culture in the mission, sauce, or Thomas Rahauji. And only idea in Rabyang line bar. And Rabangi any coaching or coaches and Rabangi artist art in their work. And Konima her art the music for Kodi her commercial Jirimunity or creation shot. And the only and the good to dance again her small cloud. Yeah, Anthony the Rabella Sumsha.
Hi there, everyone. Can you guys hear me? So I want to talk about our main goal with the Snowlion Club. So our main goal was basically later on we understood what we really needed to do when me and Namdhak talked. So we were our main goal was really to educate younger generation about Tibetan culture. So and then to engage with younger Tibetan generation, we need to find a really creative solution where everyone will be wow, they're really engaged to it, So as an artist myself, I felt art we can do lots of creative things. There's a lot to talk about in art, so. And then from that perspective, we went through with art, and right now we've been doing lots of collaboration with different artists. We've been encouraging a lot of younger generation, a lot of Tibetan artists, and I feel like it's really working through. From last year, we've been getting lots of support and everything, saying what we were doing was really encouraging lots of people. So I think our goal was really simple but really effective, and that was one of the first thing that we wanted to do. And so far this is what we are planning through, but we have lots of future plans to move on and make something really useful out of Snowlion Club. And I don't really have much to say. I think that's really plain and simple. And I want to move on with Tashi Lama, and I want him to speak about our future goals and stuff. Thank you.
Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me now? Is that good? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. So to start off just about my story. I came to the U.S. when I was very young. When I was like 6 years old, I moved to the U.S. from Nepal, Kathmandu, and it was only me and my mom and my dad that moved to Brooklyn, New York, and I lived there for about 6 years. And during that time there, I was like my parents sent me to Tibetan class all the time, and like with culture, how to preserve it and stuff like that. When moving at that age, everyone nowadays gets really shocked when I can still speak the language, when I can still understand, and I'm fluent in it. And not just in Tibetan, but where I was born as well, Nepali. So I'm like bilingual in that sense. Yeah, just preserving the culture. I think when we moved to Canada, SFT was a huge factor for me. Like when I came here, there was no like Tibetan community, not as big as it is right now. But SFT kind of pulled me in when I was a student back then. And ever since then, I've been very with the movement and seeing like in Parkdale in Toronto, seeing so many youth, so much youth in like the city, and so many artists, so much potential out here, kind of made me want to work with Snowlion and be a member and kind of raise that platform up a bit more and expand it. What they're doing already was good, but like that we can have more potential, or we can do more this year. Even with this quarantine, what we've actually come up with for the next couple months or even the next month is actually doing a drop, like an exclusive drop, where we're going to be using all the profits from that drop to towards like frontline workers and like working with a larger organization to help out with like seniors and stuff like that. For example, TCCC, our community center right now, our Tibetan Community Center, they're doing a lot over there as well for seniors. So we're looking forward to that as well. And with all our art shows, everyone is welcome to submit their art. Please feel free. We will showcase anything and everything. There's no discrimination at all, and it's a just open platform for everyone just to express themselves. But other than that, I mean, we're still going. I hope everyone's staying safe, and that's about it. Thank you for having us again.
Lolo, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story and how you started from the end, and also talking about some future plans for you. So that was really helpful. And I hope any of you also found it inspiring. And if you have any questions now, I think we'll open it up to anyone who has questions, and then also open it up for discussion. So Urgen, I know you were first hand. Toya.
What I want to say to all, to Phunstok, Tenzin Phunstok, he's a Tibetan calligraphy. Phunstok, can you explain us what you write when you're sharing stuff?
Yeah, of course I will share. The TikTok, I think it's 정말 배발다. It's beginning 얘긴다. 디라 정말 배발다. 개발입니다. 이제 더 유럽 가자는 얘기다. 근데 앞에 유럽 대대라 정말 제시 상황 인지가 돼야 되니만이라 이 당연히 이름 말다가 로 주시스네 판넬리티 somebody 주저 칠레다 라브네 근데 상황 제시 상황 비유다 인지가 돼야 돼 어머니 비모니 상황이야 근데 야블로직다 이 당고 저기 라이프 밴드 뒤로지달라서 대비게 대체 통계 얘기라 페이지다 언제 상황 뒤에 어머니 비모를 또 망치 킹기기라 네 내가 또 망치 가지 생각이 동바디 가지 시작이려나 동바디 뒤에 the 수제세 어머니 비모 후제 네 the mantra of compassion and the 동바디라 디제 the order 가다 order 직대다 빨아암라다 군생이지 명디 로그인 있어 디 수제 동바디라 이선상 망치 동바디레 상마 에서도 보고다 낭미다 데레지 order레나 니만 원도 tanga야 tanga도 샤드쇼라 이니 베바 익수가 낭미 닝다 냠바테드니야 우둘스 언제는 아이디 데라디 선바니 미모버게 가라 엔데라라라 나 망치 동바로 셔요 이가 민다 된데 제치도 언제에 애니 다다디 근데 어찌고 지냐도래 오르 능미 첨부지다 아리래라 능미 뒤인지 고도 민 첨부지 뒤지다라 엔데로 디게 망치 왜 익소데다 대초데다지 gond아디 소소다 그냥 민 데미지 데미싱이지다 근데 걔다지 태투 걸지
Hello,
셰바
Jimmy.
지밀라 되지 태투가 셰디서 가단도부터 태투가 좀 뭔가 익수 망치게 디뇨 망치 디제 아니 당사디 익수제 상관들라 고도 나다 익수 디고라 고도 익수 딩이지 태투 딩이지라 고도 야 웹사이트 상만 체크지야 어쨌든 사실 니마 익수 되네가 지도 디게 디존데 레도 마도 딱이 딱지지게 하지는 내야 상마 뷰 상유지 되게 아니 만들어지네 셈sember 차루다 이제 제주디 나가서 말아 아니 디사이즈 퍼머넨트라 언제 전에 기세 이제 유럽도 뭔가 디뇽이 된대도 근데 이제 아니 밍 배바 밍다 가래는 배바 가래는 상황을 비유가 되게 언제 담믹세 익수가라 이 비익수가라
Lasso.
next question you're
Alaya, not tiwa some mixi kongela, 먼저 mixi kongela 망고도 와서 mixi kongela. Okay, 나도 단다 티슬라가 콜라 기지신도.
미 몽골에는 미 심으시 통면도 세계가 기기라 인케란제가 미 몽골에
Yeah, 먼저 단다 미 니사쿠스라. I think the phone name that's why. Like mixi kongela 망고도. Which one is it?
phone name 망고 통말에 밍이
Yeah.
쓰고 싶은 거래 아니 그래 아니 그래 computer 약고 이래 but I don't know.
Yeah, so it's different features. So speaking of Lhakar kola, before I transition to, I know Donga, you had a question. But before I come to you, I wanted to ask Nawang Khechog if you could please if you could grace us with kind of your art, because I think you've done a really good job with that, and you've created a name for yourself in this field. We wouldn't do you justice and everyone else justice if you didn't play for us. So if you could play for us, and then Donga, I'll get you next.
Similar, sing the way. The ring a toast tradition. Tarjati.
I don't get a bit professional
So it's just a little bit more organized. Any chick channel, are she chick che, limbu prevailing bunal. Any chick, Native American limbunal. Ni danga.
Let's dig it now.
Zamling Shiditang Denver Show. Rogo Chamje Chosho. Pula Rawanta. Digi Tobasho. Yawaramche. Kuzachiran Chirapa Denver Show. the Native American lingui, Naranso Nobody Tabungune, the Native American Mirda. This on the Kunzi Chedungi Kushab Chene, the Native American Koran Limbu so Kavachi, not the search and Korangi Nalangabateri. In the Delangunation Tomjiore, Tangetia tos Nangbar Sui Gurje, Sanje would share Jeto Shriver, the Nebelubi. So the Native Kanlia Grand Canyon sort the data Native American gay Kurdan to the Samtana, so it makes it later.
Sound meditation chidu kablan kela rajiti lingbu chegedi so tuchina kela pe apachun so any tonga certain to question.
Yeah, so Tiwa, I have a Tiwa for Gela. So like when you were playing that flute piece, like some of kind of Tangia, like aside from like the Grand Canyon, like yeah, like what were you thinking of? And then second question is like who inspired you to like play the flute and like did you compose that piece like by yourself? And like when composing, like before you compose it, like how did you like I guess like did you just go with the flow or like I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you for your question. Actually, I don't read music. I am zero with the reading music. I have no idea, you know. But flute is something it's something small gift in me. So I picked up flute like this Native American flute. I will play very different because it has different things to say. So I play something more closer to Native American thing, you know. Tibetan flute, basically, I meditate before and motivate myself for something to benefit sentient beings for Tibetan cause. And then I also ask blessing of Buddha Dharma Sangha, His Holiness Dalai Lama. So I ask for blessing and then I play. And so when I'm playing, I'm not thinking nothing. I never think anything. Just what some sound comes to me, I fly with that. in a way. I just fly with that sound, and that's it. And one time, actually, very interesting, in Mexico City, not Mexico City, it's Montreal. There's a Mexico place. A friend who hosting me, they took me into the mountain where there is a, what the Mexican eagle, the big one, condor, yes, it's called condor. It's bigger than the usual eagle. So huge eagles. So I took one flute with me. So I started playing the flute, and there were a bunch of eagles around. So the eagles start flying. My host lady, she told me, and some of them came closer to the tree where I was playing, and some of them flying around. So that was very interesting for me. So anyway, I don't really think anything. I just feel that whatever sound comes, I just fly with that. Something like that.
So like you mentioned about Sangye, Jomden, and like I guess like being a Buddhist. Do you think that has some sort of like, does that like, do you think that has like an impact to like, I guess, the way you play your flute, like, cause you do like some sort of you do recite some prayers before you play the flute. So like, do you think that has like some sort of, I guess, yeah, impact, effect, or yeah,
effect. Yeah, I believe that. Myself, being Tibetan, and most of Tibetan, we are Buddhists, unless it's a Pön tradition. Otherwise, most Tibetan are Buddhists. So therefore, we believe in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So if we ask the blessing of the Buddhas, Buddhas are basically who worked so hard, went on the path. It's not like a other religion who believe there is a God who is always God. And that God creates everything on the earth, you know? So, but in Buddhism, we don't believe that. We are our own master and we are our own enemy based on our heart and mind. So what we do, accordingly, good karma, if we do good karma, then we become happy and find happiness. If we do bad karma, then of course we will have difficulty in our life. So therefore, everything is based on what we do. But Buddha said, I can only show you the way. You have to walk on the path. It's up to you. Buddha always said, I can only show you the path. So Tibetan, we believe Buddhas are our teacher who guide us in the right path. But also Buddhas are great beings, so they can also bless us. If you ask for blessing, it can bless us. Bless your body, mind, and speech, which will equip you in a better position in your life. Whatever you're doing, so you're studying, of course, you ask for blessing, that will help you to equip yourself in a better study. Okay, something like that.
Plus, Ani, Teshpamu, you had a question?
Hi everyone. Sama Tashleye, Ani Ngaiming Tashpamu, Ani Tanda Changma Dilleni Pego Chungso. So first off, I'd like to give Chimi and Wedin a shout out, big shout out for putting this together. You know, this is a great thing that you guys are doing. Like, you know, I see a lot of youths here, so it's a great work you guys are doing. So like, I don't really have a question, just something that I'd like to share. So this book right here, can y'all see it? Chimi, can you see this?
Yeah, the like a Yeti catching a marmot. Yeah, or catching marmots.
So this is a little treasury of Tibetan proverbs. And this has, wait, hold on. Okay, I just like to read a few. Okay. So lumpe te pale kepa me pagasara. Okay, so can you hear me? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm like not under this. Yeah, I'm like nervous. Okay, gela tanda di tep diera pe diresha kala ira anzu peba tambe yo. Tambe gaji di ani engine translate chigo. Okay, so ngati si longi trust tanda de lanzo di shimba mangbudo.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So lumpe te pale kepa me pagasa. So di lanara. It's better to be denounced by the wise than praised by fools. So like dig meaning the color lena, it's always better. So to be praised this guy. It's better to be denounced by the wise than be praised by fools. So you know how like a lot of times you get excited when like when you get a lot of praises. So it's always better to get praised by, it's always better if you get denounced by the wise than be praised by lots of fools. Okay, so next one, right? Gete, this guy. Gete gat tubsara chete chik mitublas. So a smile wins 100 hearts. A frown, not even one. So when you're frowning, you don't get no wins. When you're smiling, you get 100 hearts. And lastly, konto yalasa sara dogya tela shusa. So when you're angry at the yak, but you're kicking the mule. So like if anyone can get it, this is a great book. And dige kara translate pema tawon like chigere. So this is a great proverbs. So if anyone's interested, they're English new translation done too.
Yeah, and Dashpamo, I guess just to kind of add to that, if anyone wants to purchase the book, like Amazon line,
the wisdom publication line, you're a boss, no?
Okay.
So translate.
So thank you for sharing those, Dashpasan. I think until Gela KyiKyi and maybe a lot of to until the pig Nalatambe, until lecture John, the Mango Yora. So there's a lot of very good proverbs or quotes that are currently out there, and they've said it really nicely. So to translate that into English doesn't really do much justice, but I think they've tried the best to the best of their abilities. So yeah. So anyone have any questions? I don't think I saw any raised hands.
To me, I have a question. So first of all, Tanda Tashipamo share Chigyo proverb. I think that's also another way of preserving our culture, right? And I feel like we only have 4 panelists who are doing different things to preserve our Tibetan culture, but there's so many other ways. And like I know, and each of us are probably doing it, currently. Just something by like attending an event like this, or just cooking or speaking in Tibetan, and so I just wanted to mention that. And maybe Snowlion and maybe KyiKyi can answer this. So my question is, here today, like we have some youth, who were probably born here, like in the Western world, but some who might also be mixed, just like your kids, KyiKyi. And then there are some of us like who have never been to Tibet, but we still call ourselves Tibetan, and we've grown up in India or Nepal. And so like for people who are struggling to even identify with a specific culture, like how can we even go about preserving a culture when we don't really, when we can't really place ourselves in a specific culture per se? Like, what do you guys think about that? Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, my kids being half Cambodian and half Tibetan, it definitely is very challenging, more challenging than same culture relationship, because the common language, the common denominator, right, of language is English, right? Otherwise my husband can't understand if I start talking in Tibetan. So it really is a challenge. And what I found most effective was really deliberate effort to engage with the community. And then also Portland, Tsokpa is very, very active, right? And so our Tsokpa I just joined the Tsokpa myself. So I'm really putting in the effort as a parent to not only tell my kids that, you know, speaking Tibetan or learning Tibetan or Tibetan dances or songs are important, but also trying to demonstrate by my actions that I am also putting in effort. So zinda chik mashimare haptala zinda chik mashimare. So nga grow up chidone ni pyoge dende yakome. Ani nga laptu tsani nga karla Tibetan youth hostel gyagala nye palam lagi pagetang arwa and diduala nye rokpa. All of a sudden my friends went from being Tibetans to Tibetans, and for me being engaged, like literally and physically being engaged and in the community really helped me nye pyoge yarge pechinswa tande dende yakome but yarge dogyo and dishigo enanga pungu amachado ane Pepe 100% Pepe me half Cambodian, half Tibetan. Yeah, challenge in Bachester. The Narachipo me, the Nepula Pegi Candes Labore, Per Rishon Pola Candes Laborelani, and Tabiani, Portland la. As I said earlier, our community is so active, right? So that really helped me. They have a Sunday school. So Sunday takparishi pugula karsa Sunday school chigi and they two chicks drive rate. Ani Sunday gangza page de. Ani the homework tangi pilo dan yaposhame. The pugu Sunday school goes to ne chini. Not only is my pege getting better again, but also nge pilo dan. I feel ashamed to say this, but nge kakagangane gosuorta because it's been so long since I read in Tibetan Ra. So as I'm trying to teach my kids how to finish their Tibetan homework, I am also learning in the process. And for me, it's more of I am not ashamed to say I don't know. I am proud to say that I'm willing to put in an effort at my age, right? Late to learn our language. So that's been, you know, for me, engagement. Engagement has been the #1 way for me to try, as a parent of mixed kids, right? To try and get them involved, having constant exposure to the Tibetan community.
Thank you, KyiKyi ma'am. That was so inspiring. I think in general, Mangche, you know, for us, we don't have kids, right? So we always think that, oh, this is our challenge and our parents are always telling us to learn and this and that. So we always hear it one way. So to now hear it from your perspective and also to see that, you know, you're not only telling your kids, but also you're practicing along with them, I think is such an inspiration. And I know as we kind of transition and we get older, it's going to be a lot of challenges that I think a lot of Tibetans will face. So anything we can do now to help preserve and kind of learn the language will help. But I know it's a continuous learning process and we'll always be learning and always be picking up because there's always going to be more to learn. Mm-hmm. So there's a question from iPhone. The name is called iPhone, so I'm just going to say iPhone. The question for you, KyiKyi ma'am, is do you receive or have you received criticism from Tibetans or the Tibetan community regarding your food?
For me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Criticism about food per se, I haven't received, for the most part, people have been very supportive as I went from, you know, my local pop-ups, you know, trying to target and promote in the local community. Then I went to social media to try and reach a broader audience, right? Not just Tibetans, but well outside Tibetans, because we need allies, right? To keep our freedom movement going, to preserve our culture. As I started, more and more people started knowing about my page and my mission. Some of the more recently, I have gotten a few criticisms. Thankfully, they have been in the minority. For the most part, I have received a lot of encouragement and a lot of support. But a couple of people pointed not so much about the food. Yeah, they've been like, oh, Momo Papa took Tasha. Like that, you know, like, okay, fine, big deal. You know, like, can we focus on the big picture here or are we just focusing on the one negative thing to pick, right? But a couple of comments have been made and I can only speculate what the intention of the comment was, right? Because you only know what you see, right? And a lot of miscommunication can happen when we're busy typing over there, right? So a couple of comments were made as my post was shared to a wider audience about you know, like that, you know? And it really hurt my feelings. It gets me very emotional because it's very personal to me, right? It's more than just food to me. So Like, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, comment 카시시 배변이 레디 one day like this nakpudo tongsia like ni lega gangsa chiwode chip picture and that you picked that, you know. And so I tried to maintain my calmness and I said, you know, tujana for your feedback, you know. My whole purpose for doing what I do is to promote our culture through our cuisine to a broader audience. Keyword broader, you know, not just, I'm not speaking directly to Tibetans, I'm speaking to non-Tibetans as well. And as such, I use the English language, but it was very hurtful. It took me a couple of days to recover. I mean, it really bothered me and got into my skin. I talked to other Tibetan friends that I have, and that's a way of life. In the chungire, you know, it or whatever, you know, whatever the intention was in the labe chungire, just forget it and focus on the big picture. Right? So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying. So that was about the criticism that I received, is my usage of English language in communicating about a culture and a food.
Sorry. Because one thing they always say is with anytime you scale or anytime you get larger and you reach more people, there's always going to be one or two negative people. But I think that's just a sign that, you know, you're doing a good job and people are starting to follow you. And we've seen that. And I think also within my own personal Instagram space or just within my network, I see people creating your recipe. Oh, this is Himalayan dumpling sive, or this is how Himalayan dumpling made this. So for sure, I know your work is being appreciated by a lot of people. So thank you. I was going to say, Nawang Khechog, I see your hand raised, but before I come to you, I wanted to also put the same question to the Snowlion Club. There's a lot of work that you're doing, you're out there. Have you, as you know, an organization, also received any sort of criticism, and how are you working to challenge that? Navigate that, sorry.
Oh yeah, so criticisms now on the Snowlion Instagram page, the handle. So what I do is like you know, I pick up pictures from the internet. Some photographic. There are a lot of photographers, right? Like some have access to Tibet, but some don't, right? So what I did was like I found this journal, and journal was about like the Tibetans in you know, Tibet dealing with the virus, right? So she made that journal, right? So what I did was like I just like, you know, reposted the photo and like, you know, the stuff she wrote, right? So when I did that, the photographer was kind of like, she was kind of mad at like what I did, even though like I gave her credits and everything. So I don't know, like, well, that's like one of the biggest, you know, turn on for me, like to do those things. Cause she was, I don't know why she was mad, but she was mad. I posted that stuff, like, even though she was credited and everything. But other than that, like, other criticisms, like, I haven't found any, like, you know, people have been like always supporting us, like the support's been great. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll pass it to Rabyang if he has any.
Let me just unmute. Okay.
For like criticism, we haven't received any criticism so far. That was like only one of the small things that we received, and then we've been really careful with like giving credits and stuff. I guess like we've been working with lots of Tibetan artists. We've been really getting like in touch with them and talking about like what they like and what they don't like. And before we do everything, we really, as a team, we do like a meeting of what we really need to do so that it doesn't hurt anyone or anything. What's positive and what's negative, we need to figure it out. So before we post something, we actually have like a meeting. If we need to put a new product, we just think as a community, how does this make someone feel? Like, you know, even if like someone is hurt by this, we'll think about it and not do it or like have to do it. We'll just do meeting as a team. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think with any different challenges, there are different ways of navigating it, and it certainly seems like you found a way to navigate kind of your own area. So, any Nawang Khechog to unmute, and then Dijula again, I'll get to you.
我现在学给每当的KyiKyi 게 미지기 가르치고래. 견주 체버데 ngati shue kenang Tenzing shuba na shingi kenang ki momo nga momo fan chenpu shivji momo pe kawi cheda nimaji nga kenang momo saya ki saya rabi rewa chigi kanda yani kenang momo ti zong na mizu kibusu dita chabji le pechibe zadun tol keje shen you are educating people about Tibet this one da ngune mi kashe chigi korancho 초 마사베 겐게 계제 간주면 시에베나야 계란기 차례 때 메시 야보나 것도 게 토지치 쉬어이 오늘 토체나 두번 만나로나 드리토도 좀 그래 나이니마 당보링부터도 배버치 고란기 계제 가주면지도 시에베래 이나야 개바 개개미도 나타산다 더블리나 가서갈 치쟁에 림부터진 미조어스 기부스 가서래 베베자된도 또 게시에 고급라 나는 기부시라요 다 되기도 봐 같이 들리 그러다
라서 아니 우긴 좋아요.
저와 말의 커멘트링아 아시아기 기기라 중에 대응하기 민족 관심무지 티리 뒤에 대본에 여러 칼라다 심바디 까니 마가니 그래 심바 막 키우면 그 낭미 다 this check 그래서 어디니 커멘트 독서 지에 나 권달라에 대찬이 아치하라 for me I got an experience similar to that too, you know. So you know what? And then other thing, different calligraphy. 그래? I want to thank all the guests. Like I want to thank 아직라 조조 아니 아울라기 셰병 오셔서 and you know Snowlion. I didn't know that. I know like only once they go live with Chimilamo. Doing stickers. That's all I know.
Yeah, well, so again, this is a great way to kind of for us to find out and learn about other different organizations that are out there. So that's really good that we all learned something new. Ani, before I get to you, just one question that I received on the chat. It's for Snowlion Club. When are you releasing more merchandise and sizes?
Oh, is it my turn? I guess I'm on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Namdhak.
Yeah, so right now it's like right now our contact, right, on contact, they're like it's been hard for them, like to operate right now because of the situation. So it's just like everything's on hold right now. We have new designs, and design somewhat on 저기 가족들은 라바이나 그지디 하라 내당디 약속하고는 아니 design somewhat 되는 거 할리글리.
And I'm sure people can probably go to your network Instagram or in our website, right, to find out more.
Stay tuned.
Rabyang, did you have something to add or?
Yeah, it's basically kind of like the same thing. We've been working closely with our production center, and like as soon as possible, we're trying to release some new stuff. And like Tashi talked earlier, the next one we are really trying to do it for like a charity. So the next one we're collaborating with a bunch of different artists, and then that's gonna be like a donation towards we're basically thinking to donate it towards people who are affected by this COVID-19. So that's something like that. In a week or so, we're gonna start our new production soon.
Yes, so thank you. That's very nice, the work that you're doing. So, and especially the donating part too. So, Lundi, you had question, Lundi, and then Daekyong.
저기 저 편소리 calligraphy. 저 편소리 그래 클래스 calligraphy the tattoo 그래 calligraphy change here sonsa. 인도 삼바 아니 저랑 그래 록 가서 주는스 이 거기는 잘 장가서 the calligraphy thing so what do you call it, like that's the copy in tattoo to the it serves the purpose. The is legible, gets the message across. The end is more correct. The that down you get to the the code the cheat in it, that the down the sure. The end is more correct. Some of them integrity the light of some doing it, but in it do you think it serves the purpose? The what's your name to what the
that can do the pigeon D Kandus Tiguregi, Kande Tiodina Shira Gusuma, Pije, the Kande Tiguregi, Tidisumba, Kare. Not Jodi Shira Gusuma, so the Manche had another Tio Sama Dire Calore. Mutu Lapta, Yagal Lapta, Mutu Pivalapia, says TC, the says Jura. My says in my Changjore. Any Lapta, the Guikela, the Labio Nanshingi. And one day follow Jiggy, Gandama. Yama Lapre is among the pen you go set to your Jiggy, and did it Jechela, my Europe lady samba, any calligraphy, the man, the Trodan, the other Chagajik Kubaje, Numagia, on the time, near the brush to the brush to this samba, than jail of my live concert Mango, the December, staging some brush get the only thing a brush get to this about you the young chosen in Yingjimu shade. I just in a you did it Yingjimu this way like Gachimbush, I just in a Kashi Nimado Chico Chicken, Jiva in a Dida dishing or the in a Jiva and East bore boring to Tungu certain new generation is the Laya. And this thing it is Nyapcha Ninjimodo, Supuya was Supation, Nimbu to Jigi, Medo to G, including the Tira. And at least Consake would inside Shunjun to get this Tonali the Adimando should do any color step by step, any back to the Jadavuru, Pejodo, Tomaina, we did the Lanatis, boring shade of the and this Jide Ninjimodo say any Ning Caliguli Tonale da. And the door, only son of Kangton, brush get and me some to do some so costume love or to tell only duality. Kajasana Shema print Yodo, Tungi, go the gym, Kajam wood did. Oh, and this something a summer life could you do over to you. Kajana, although you could depending Jumare, only so that me so the music, the Momo that in the Shimuda, do you know this color, this impression ninja did the seducer on this some manche liability did any do you know what take it about the ninja on this proud to kid is on the end the door marwe any the chula the chimila the casual antique shue the nyama Europe did this the casual city mangu penyenyo adide lo chushi chongasre traditional ge the artist ko ge gallery la museum la kusho ngodo teaching de kapso in break la casual ge music itangire any penyembu da di pen the relax yu charuda somewhere lamsa positive to yago jiwo so samgido kalore try do the garike lamsa nimbu share do that is change to charu so good to you to fresh up to charu do any fresh up charge any jing do you do ra any nyamani go ye any dire on live la online ki cutting live la at the tune go so any the kikila la any addition je comments la shirata yo mare modo live performance je samba the kapdu show in the artist and ngado in artist growing jigora any mangshi ye jingye senso ya mangshi ngodo da dagasre ngodo jojo ye nima laksangala ngodo da dagasre in gongsa chogo wala jingye den yoresa in sometimes the gongsa chogo wala jiwe na ngodo da gongsa chogo damla leg step by step dora tarungura gongsa chogo wala de jingye yorela na any kiran sometimes in kiran simju chaya minwa Any Kirai Momo and I you make it the any Shuma Apple Miss again the Momo said the festival there. Any Snowlion la Yamang Namda in Sere, only like I told you somebody Ninja Beton Sera. 제가 상마상하지 모두 배바지 지가도 상마 and 이게 막 뷰 익숙지 나섬서다 뷰 익숙지 유나섬까지는 이 calligraphy 뷰 찍나라 and 이게 강생라는 남달라라 뷰이라 and 이게 존데 뷰지 가지스나 스티커 뭐 토나 카툰도 통다 애님도 뷰 익숙지 나 커뮤니케이션인지 뭐래 니마 지 뷰이라 and 걔도디다 얘다 뷰 강생len 지어다 스노우라는 강생 라와라 뷰 배워도네 and in the period can only budget about Jina or Gajana sticker the new the big so the combination of a Momodo Serena and Bebajuna Yabuda, shading with on Beba Ying Hashishuna Yabuda in this balance Yabuda. One day lie can some la.
Tujana Yabu so Tujana. Ani Dekyo, you had a question?
Yes, nige question nga tiwa ni ra tiwa thangbu di Snowlion re ani thana COVID-19 thanda di khare neju di khat de tu gala lapta mangbu go jap ki like a lot of schools are closing, and so I was just wondering about like what are your future plans for like virtual events? Kenzo, is that something that you guys thought about? Maybe possibly having Tibetan artists kind of come to these virtual events and teach young Tibetan youth how to draw.
So yeah, I'll like share one of the few stuff, right? And one of the main thing is like 저는 아주 가슴 코스나 니만 저기 니만 라방라기 라이프인데 먹고치래 하래 워크숍인데라 워크숍 제선나 미 먹을래서라 어디 가고 좀서 아니 저는 저기 미기디 하는나 가정 어디 주고 섬서 워크숍 지디 그래 뷰기라지기다 뷰기라지기 그래 미망아 아니 뷰기 라반다 뷰비 찍는지 그래 찍박이라 그래 보르라 까까 강아지 아니 까니 그래 까 구슈 카기 강바로 온데 라리 디주섬서 마신이 아저기 당아주 미라마스다 나 뷰기 개봤는데 나 저 계속 모션에 나온 라우치라 나 저기 그래 혼자 계시 아니 저 그래 워크숍을 잼바 아니 디미아치 아니 나 Rabyang in the artist coach later. Rabyang was not.
So yeah, we had like a plan before this thing COVID happened. We were trying to do like an art show that's really different, with like different kind of new mediums into the art show. It's just not like an art that's on the wall, but more of like art when we have an artwork, then we can scan the artwork, and on your phone it turns into real like a virtual reality. And then we have a tattoo artist that's gonna do a live tattoo and stuff. We were trying to do like a new ways to interact with the people that's coming in, but sadly we couldn't do it because of the COVID-19. But I think that's for me, I think it will give me more time to figure out how to do something more creative and differently. So I think after this COVID-19, I think definitely we'll find a new ways, more creativity to do a better art show, I guess. And
also like if anyone like cause they'll had a deep and people 되게 개발되나 그래 people 익숙해 디시하고 게토게나 아니 저기 그지 온라인 워크숍 된지나 라로지라 저기 가오충설이가 미 망골라가 캡상나서 온라인 워크숍 전에 아니 니미아치 아니 어쩐다 아직 신발 잘하나 그래 클래스랑는다 온라인 워크숍이 좋은데 그지 다왕는 요에나 라로지
Anything you had a follow?
Oh, yes. You telling you the like it's for all the speakers. Yeah, it's for all the speakers. Is there any like a mentor or someone who inspired you to like or motivate you during your low days? Because I mean, obviously we all have like days where you just don't want to do anything. So just asking all the speakers if there was anyone in your life that kind of inspired you. Oh yeah, this is for, yeah.
Okay.
I can go. I don't have any one particular person. When I'm down, I will Skype my mom who is in Nepal. So she's very patient and very pragmatic. So sometimes she says things I don't want to hear. So I reach out to her. Even at this age, you always need your mom, right? So I lean on her heavily for moral or emotional support. But in general, as far as trying to stay motivated with doing what I'm doing right now, I feed off of the feedback, right? It's a way for me to kind of quantify, if you will, what kind of reception or what kind of interest or engagement there is in what I have to offer. So when I receive, like I said earlier, whether it's private messages or comments or whatever, you know, it really helps me in a sense, get a sense of validation that, okay, I'm on the right track. I'm not at the final destination, but I'm moving in the right direction as far as my mission to promote our culture through our cuisine. So.
Lovely. So I feel who else could be there more inspiring than His Holiness the Dalai Lama? I always, if I ever get a little bit down, the YouTube is my best friend. You can go to His Holiness Dalai Lama and listen to His Holiness Dalai Lama's teaching. That always uplift you, really. I mean it.
Anything, Phunstok or Namdhak, Rabyang, you guys want to add? Oh, okay.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, like in terms of like mentorship, I look up to like game Kishore like said, His Holiness Khechog. I read this book called The Book of Joy. It's a collaboration with Desmond Tutu. So it's a really good book. So I was like, I was like, so ni aku kyuhud. Delorshi. And on the Kishmon Mongol, life key or life lesson.
Ani Chimila.
No.
The got the shungi mungu the tagidwa the live la ni message detail was some so if he can so the view exo ming da the goya da and view labado da any got a view exo chikje the end to go in a Georgie nege kusho chigni so shima in the yore kondo any kondo mozo da mozo labda Sara Tolobla, Anima Sara Tolobla, Losum, Buijangara, on the Zinda Chipare, and they are Konzo Kusho, in Lapagine, on the Zinda and Fur, and Nangcho, Tistonaira, and was the compared Gigi, Kushula, the Kola Shune, Digre, and the Robogo, on the Dutus Vege, Cancel the Lego, Unkajano, Ko Inji Shirashing Mare, and Nege, Inji and the Shigi, and the Chera Canto, Chera Bigi, Chera Inji Gigra. Debala water mother than the go to a lelhaga, we showed it in the Chine. And did on the road the calligraphy than the doina and the page color than the Canada than the Nado Reda than the calligraphy than this Chine into the Shunshing in the Shumba Rada. In the Canton Jivaina, made the Kusho de la Georgia and the Canada Zindo Soina, Progon Garisoina. Any share tabagenda in Kalada, Bui, Suyoda, Nerina, program arranged to Jivana, and other support Chicho, Young Chujo, Marve.
That's it's very nice of you to offer any Snowlion Club. Obviously, the offer is there, KyiKyi, and anyone, right? Sangmalo, everyone who's here, the offer is there. So, to go soon. So, it's 9 o'clock, but I want to continue a little bit because I think we have a lot of great questions coming in. So, if anyone wants to leave, please feel free to do so. But I'll unmute. Youngdun, you had a question, right?
Yeah. Sorry, can you, there you go. So I just have a quick question. I guess Nawang Khechog, you could help me out with this, or I guess I'm seeking guidance from anyone really, but so someone touched on this a little bit earlier, but I am biracial as well. So it has been hard for me to like kind of identify with there have been moments when it's been kind of hard for me to identify with like the Tibetan culture, but I'm really like in the future I'm looking to improve on my Tibetan speaking and reading. But in the meanwhile, I guess I'm just like trying to find ways to like help preserve the Tibetan culture, not only for myself but people around me. So I was just wondering, like, what are some good ways, I guess, that like in the meanwhile, while I'm like trying to improve on my reading and speaking, like what are some things that I can do in the meanwhile to like help preserve the culture?
I would say, so is it okay, my voice?
No.
No. How I can turn on when I'm speaking?
I'm controlling it.
Okay. That's okay. So I would say to Youngdun Fenner. Youngdun Fenner, very nice to talk to you. I would suggest you just few things. If you want to really increase the understanding of Tibetan, one of the highest culture, that is the Dharma. So for Dharma, you can really listen to His Holiness Dalai Lama. His Holiness Dalai Lama talks in such a way, medium, not like a only traditional way, but he mixes with modern science and modern culture, modern way of people's thinking. So His Holiness really interpret the Buddha Dharma in such a relevant way for the modern 21st century people. So I think that's really wonderful to learn about Buddha Dharma, and go to His Holiness DalaiLama.com, and you can listen to all kind of, or in the YouTube, you just go to His Holiness Dalai Lama's teaching, then you can listen to His Holiness. And then if you want to learn about Momo, go to KyiKyi. That's the best one. And if you like to learn about Tibetan performing arts, Tipa is the best. There is nothing like it, Tipa. So Tibetan performing art, you know? And then calligraphy, you can go to, I forgot his name, the gallery.
Phunstok.
Phunstok, yeah, Phunstok. Learn something from Phunstok, or things like that, you know? And what else?
I'm really interested in the like religion aspect of like Tibetan Buddhism. So I was wondering if you had any like book recommendations that I could read during quarantine.
Okay. So maybe His Holiness written one book called Kindness, Clarity, and Insight. You know, that's one of the very first His Holiness book. Is based on His Holiness given teachings around the United States and different Western countries. So therefore he spoke in such a way that for Western minded people, you know, so it's much easier to understand. So that's a really good one. Kindness, clarity, and insight. And if you want to read another one, Beyond Religion. So that is also a good one, Beyond Religion. That is so much a beautiful message from Buddhism, but in a contemporary way. Okay, good luck.
Vijana, I didn't know if KyiKyi ma'am, you wanted to add anything.
So the biggest difference that I have found as a parent of mixed kids is, like I mentioned earlier, is really engagement, interaction. Once my kids, my half Cambodian, half Tibetan kids, they started attending Sunday school, I saw a huge improvement in their, not only their speaking and their writing, but also in their interest in general. They are still little right now, so the Tibetan is far from perfect, but being amongst other Tibetan kids their age and seeing them being able to speak and write, play together, make Tibetan friends, that has significantly improved their speaking and then their writing in general.
Thank you. And I think, Yangla, you ask a really important question too, because I think, for sure you're not alone in this space, right? There are a lot of us who are, maybe we don't speak perfect Tibetan, we can't read, we can't, I don't know, communicate all that, but we still at the same time want to help preserve the Tibetan culture. So I think, your question is a very correct question, and one that a lot of people are struggling with. So thank you for asking that. And I know Donga and Urgen, you guys have been waiting really patiently. So, oh, Donga, you don't have, okay. So Urgen, I'll leave the last question to you and then we can wrap up. Urgen,
wait, I have like a quick question, just like curious.
Yep, go ahead.
This is like towards Snowlion Club. Like, I know you guys sell like shirts, sweaters, and bags, but do you guys have like any sort of plans? Like, I'm into like journals and like planners, and like, it would be really cool if like there's like Tibetan artwork like on journals. Like, do you guys like have any plans like with taking your artwork to like some sort of other kind of, like, I guess, I don't want to say platform, but like, like books or journals? Yeah.
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Kwanda.
So, sure. Yeah, sure. Can you think? All right. So we had this plan about making a magazine, like monthly magazine or weekly, with like Tibetan artists, like like what's happening in Tibet, like it's like what it's currently right now. It's like it's hard to do it because I don't think there's a lot of demand for this magazine. So if you do it, it's like the cost won't be so great. So yeah. So once there's a demand for it, like we'll just do it. So it'll be like a monthly magazine, like it'll be filled with Tibetan arts, like Tibetan, also could be like Tibetan stories, like short stories. And Rabyang also had this like really great idea about like recreating, like how should I put this? Recreating Tibetan books, like for Tibetan kids. And that like making it like more beautiful, like like so books like that, like Tibetan for Tibetan kids. The books that we have, just like those are like really old, we need like a new like something modern. So that was like Rabyang's plan. So right now we are planning to do it, but it's just like it's a long process for us right now. So if Rabyang wants to share anything, like
yeah. Rabyang, we can't hear you. Going. I don't know if it's still audio.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
I can hear, yeah.
Okay, so currently I'm working with two different artists, Tibetan, who are also my close friend. So we're trying to, like Namdhak said before, we are trying to recreate old Tibetan books into like a new modern contemporary way. And yeah, mainly we're trying to work on like Tibetan basic books, because here the newer generation, I'll say, like no one really like writes or speak, writes in Tibetan, right? So something like Kaka Ganga, like basic book, we want to recreate them and see how it works, something like that. And also, yeah, we're trying to move, we've been doing like lots of like clothing and stuff. So we wanted to move forward from that and make it into like a bigger organization. So we're thinking more of like, now we are trying to move towards more multimedia kind of stuff, like making like videos and stuff too right now. So maybe hopefully we can make YouTube videos about Tibetan food, something like that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, what's clear is that there's a lot of room for cross collaboration, so we can all work together to help push the entire agenda forward. And I think you mentioned food, for sure, KyiKyi ma'am through Himalayan Dumplings has done a lot of great work. So probably finding ways to leverage the great work that others in the field are already doing, I think would be wonderful. Ani, Ugin, you had—
I'm ready now.
You're ready? Okay.
Yeah, on that. So, and I have a tip for everyone, basically for vlogging or anything that you guys want to do. I'm like making songs. I write songs. I do music sometimes at home in my time pass. Like basically what I use to edit videos is video editor. You could download that on the app on your computer or your laptop, your computer, your Mac, or basically anywhere. That helps me a lot, you know, like editing videos. It really helps your voice. Like if you're like for me, I'm like a little shy to talk a little bit sometimes, but other than that, I just do a video editor. And then my second question is to Ajala, Tenzing, KyiKyi. What is like can you share us some facts about like how like you how you start this, like, or when you got inspired to do like this all stuff, like when did you start it, like how did you like doing like momo stuff?
It started very slowly. It started very slowly, and it's been a really long journey, but mostly it's evolved as I'm growing, as I'm getting older. But like I said earlier, it first started when I became a mom, and especially having mixed kids. I found myself, you know, kind of exploring our Tibetan cuisine more to help my kids appreciate our culture. Then it went on to taking that to the next level and doing pop-ups in my local community. So that way now I'm taking it from my kids onto my local community through doing pop-ups, right? Then I went to social media to try and reach even a broader audience to try and promote our culture through our cuisine. And then finally this month I launched my YouTube video. And the whole purpose of doing that is to use visual storytelling, right? To share and to celebrate our culture, both amongst Tibetans and also non-Tibetans through recipe videos. So if you look at my new Momo video, I do more than Momos, by the way. But if you look at my new Momo video, for example, I spent quite a bit of time giving culinary background information, you know, historical context as to kind of the evolution of the dish and why we are as Tibetans where we are, like from taking me as an example, why I'm in Ari, you know, and I was living in India and Nepal, and why I wasn't in Tibet and things like that. And as a result, I find that like Kechola said earlier, when you talk too much about the Tibetan freedom movement, it's people kind of get an overdose and they're like overwhelmed, and then you kind of feel them already you know, kind of tuning out. But for me, I found that using our cuisine is such a non-threatening and very universally appealing way to kind of slowly and gently talk about our country, the state of our country, you know, the current occupation and things like that, kind of putting it here and there while I'm telling my food story. And so that's kind of like the evolution. And like I said, nothing happened overnight. It took me about 10 years to be where I am.
And what I was concerning is I was hearing your stories. I learned a lot from you. It really inspired me now, like to make momos, like make, you know. And so what I was thinking for you is that if you're making videos, what apps do you use? What apps? If you don't want to answer it, you don't need to.
Oh, it's totally fine because I know next to nothing about video editing, right? So as I said in the beginning, I am technologically challenged. I had to tell Chimila how to make sure I was going to click into Zoom properly and so on and so forth. So technology for me is quite overwhelming. So starting this new YouTube channel, it was like way above my head. But like I said earlier, I was really determined to try and figure out this video editing thing. So I started off by using a paid app called InShot. I don't know how it is relative to all the video editing apps out there, but it feels like video editing for dummies kind of thing, you know, which is my level right now. I'm in the infancy level of video editing. So that's what I use. So if anybody has any feedback, you know, please feel free to DM me on my Instagram or something. Any tips? I'm always open to suggestions on how to improve my work.
Yeah. Thank you, KyiKyi ma'am. And I was going to say too, KyiKyi ma'am's Instagram name is @Himalayan Dumplings. And obviously we have everyone's Nawang Khechog's website, Snowlion Club, the Calligraphy team, and Himalayan Dumplings Instagram pages. So for sure, you know, this is just the beginning of a new relationship that could form, or a partnership. So if you want to continue developing this further, I think for sure I would recommend connecting with each other on social media, whether that be Instagram or Facebook, to continue progressing on this relationship. And I'll just pass it on to Woden, who will kind of give some parting words, I guess.
까불치고 뭐들라. 나기 나기 선발라 다진 썸드사 한속이 그래. The program, if we want to keep going, can we add some musician, like for example, I have one musician, and like other people who
sorry.
could come, right?
I
고구도.
was thinking, sorry, Ujila.
No problem.
I'm thinking to do some 1 minute live Tibetan calligraphy. I can write it. And I'm maybe. What do you think?
Sure, yeah, I think you can share that.
Cancel the preparation shayra. The med hunre and the medore. Yedelo Beba so omani pemuhun and chambujitigo, something cancel to the preparation shire. Yediji Shadoshola Bebu Muda Marwe.
Take it in.
Really?
Yeah, any other go to in the did the omani pemuhun. Beba Jinga, you name in engine on a mantra of compassion. Only to in the la. Come on, chick mashigumare.
And 통구도. And 주저 pas 주저 나기 지와지기요. Can you let everyone know how much is it like for a t-shirt or like that posters or any like size, you know?
Sure. Any decision in the lot and that is sure.
La.
And someone good.
Yeah, cool.
We did the Mani Petme 인데레다 아무 세이데
Yeah.
그치 울다 인게다 it's 울다레데
No, no, 딱따래도.
that 디디레 어머니 빼면 호레라 상마라 인디 디 프리페치도 캔서치도 디 프리페치니 샤예
그래야고도 두잖아.
yes
그래서.
인디 게세 키란솔라 디 밍다 덴데 고에나 밍다 사마 베와 밍르다 인디간 비위간 익수간 고에나 제와 지기지지로 믹세게 베어 부다 네도랭에 망시 케바민도 캔서 에렌치더라 아니 녜게 Tibetan calligraphy team dila kaji lawaina Tibetan calligraphy chupo sewaina diwaina chige la inji dene beba ikso dingi mangboye inji da mangboye kaji dana beba ge ikso da nangchu de shuk chumbo je ini kira chumbo yora ngoto di subject dia wo de so wozo ge jigire ene Tibetan calligraphy team dina ene nge jire beba ta beba ra beba chige we so tiyo do jere ondi nge this one Tibetan calligraphy team de lisoi
Lasso. Ani tata punsula di chat di si make it in a chat namla. Changmagi like beautiful, amazing, looks great, wow, beautiful. Lado so di talas message di share. Okay, Ani Nanu, did you have a last point?
Ngagi chiklay konda.
Ugin kunda tangazo 9:26 simsa, and we went beyond our hour and a half time. So I'll just close off again if that's fine.
Should I just do a quick question fast?
How about, can you reach out to them like personally or directly?
No, it's to everyone. Suggestion.
Oh, sure.
I'm just asking if I want to contact any of you guys, right? Or tell like somebody, like for example, my friend. How should I do that for you guys?
Yeah, I think the question is how do we best maintain contact with you?
Just Instagram is good.
Yeah, Instagram is best.
Okay, and Tibetan the Lion King do you have like a size for kids? Like if kids wants it, right? Do you guys have size for kids?
To us?
Yeah.
Oh, we don't currently, but we have plans to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Snowlion Club, so we have online because Instagram we have all the Instagram that you make for everyone. So we have the Snowlion Club, Nawang Khechog, Himalayan Dumplings, and also Tibetan Calligraphy team. So if anyone wants to get in contact with anyone, it seems like Instagram is probably the best way to connect.
Yeah, Shmila, I actually put it in the chat box.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I want to say a big congratulations to Wadana, Chimila, and Achala, those three OT team. They make a bit effort for us as a team member to get inspired from those artists. So I want to thank you all, thank you, Wadana, Chimila, Achala, Jojo, and it's Amen. Thank you all. Thank you all from my heart.
Thank you, Ugin. And I think Ugin is probably one of the youngest attendees here today, and he's been our youngest attendees in most of our events. So, and our goal is to inspire our youth and to keep them actively learning about our culture. So, I wanted to say, I guess I'll wrap up Thiringira. And like I said, we went beyond our hour and a half, which shows, how interested everyone has been. And thank you everyone for your questions. I just wanted to wrap up and say that it's been great hearing from the 4 panelists as well as the comments that our attendees have made. And it's been very encouraging, just to KyiKyi's criticisms that she's received, and just to know that, we all have to focus on the bigger picture. And the bigger picture, I feel like with our generation, is not just to learn about our culture, but to preserve it and then to pass it on. And that's become a big challenge for our culture, for our generation. So I feel like, today just having the 4 panelists attend and share their work, and I don't know if you've noticed, but like all 4 panelists are from like different generations. So it's interesting seeing how, you know, how each of them are kind of passing on our culture. And yeah, so I wanted to thank everyone for attending, and yeah, please stay updated with our social media for upcoming events, and we try to have a lot of programs for Tibetan language, Tibetan religion, and also just culture in general. Yeah.
Well, then me sama ngala question to dala. Me sama ngala Instagram username is hotel sa. I'll give you guys, right? So my username is TURGYEN. Ani kara ngagi I'll do update for you every day. So when we're having meeting, when we're doing anything, right? So I'll put it in the comment for you. Oh, Chimila did it.
I just did that for you. So.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
So
thank you so much, everyone.
Please, inspired. I got inspired from all of you, like wonderful people around here. And you know what? I get some hate people. I get some love people. But no matter what, I love you all.
That's it. Thank you so much. And Tamalo, just want to say thank you again. Nawang Khechog, KyiKyi man, Namdhak, Rabyang, Phunstok, like all of you. And Tashi is probably not there, but thank you all so much for your time and sharing your work with all of us. Thank you so much.
If you guys have any questions, DM me. I'm free.
So thank you.
And Nawang Khechog has a special goodbye sign, right? Like
all right.
I think this is how we say goodbye.
Tibet. Yavasum, Kunjosum, Chuje Mebunamsum, Jay Absesum, Marmet Taksum, Kenlop Chesum. Okay? This is everything.
Thank you, Kamala.